Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my video, and today we're going to be doing a review of the ViFly X150. And now this is pretty much a bind and fly 4-inch quad that sports a lot of high quality name brand parts. So let's just real quick go over what you get in the box. Obviously the quad comes built. You get one spare set of props. Kind of sucks you only get one, and it looks like these are genuine Dial T5045 boneless 4-inch props. So those are actually pretty nice 4-inch props, especially when combined with the motors that they chose. You also get just a bag with sort of like a spanner or a wrench in there, I guess, to tighten your props if you don't have a tool, and then Velcro for a battery if you need that, as well as you get a quick start guide, and mine got water on it. That's why everything is like sort of copied over, because the ink ran, but it pretty much actually does go through. Setup, I'm not sure if they offer a ready to fly with the radio link transmitter, but it goes over that. It's actually a pretty decent in-depth manual. It just gives you instructions on the sticks and everything, so it's actually some good information in there. But let's take a look at the quad. Now they are claiming that this is a sub 250 gram world's fastest 4-inch mini drone or whatever, so they're putting up some pretty big claims. If we just take a quick weight on this guy, see how much it weighs right here. Comes in at about 177 grams, which is definitely not bad for everything that's on here. And if we take a 1000 milliamp hour 4S LiPo that I have here, put that guy on there, coming in about 320 grams, so not under 250. And if we take a 4S 850 LiPo, put this guy on there, coming in about 280. So if you do want to get this under the 250 grams that they're claiming, for that it to be under, you're going to probably need to use something like a 500 3S or something. Pretty much just a battery that weighs under 80 grams, as you can see here. And this battery here weighs 106 grams. So if we start to take a look at the quad itself, the frame is actually kind of interesting. It uses really skinny arms here. I'm actually a big fan of that. It helps keep the drag down and the block thrust. I believe they are 5mm thick, and they are all chamfered. The edges are nice and smooth, as well as they did keep this heat shrink here. The motors are Sunny Sky Racing ViFly branded 14, the light over here. They're 1406 3300 kV, so a little bit low on the kV. I like that motor size though. However, since we are using the bullnose props, it's actually going to be probably a pretty nice, decent combo. And if we move towards the middle, you can see this is where things start to get a little bit disappointing. We have completely proprietary flight controller 4-in-1 ESC VTX sort of stack. Hopefully you can see they're all just, that is the whole frame. The structure is built off of this. They have pins and standoffs through there, so I'm really not a fan of that. And especially with this ESC, you can see hopefully it's supported back here, and then this board just sort of hangs off. Look, I can bend it a little bit there. I'm just really worried about the durability of this. I mean, it's not really going to be hitting there, but if you take a good hit to the side, you could rip this whole thing apart, so I'm really worried about the durability there. And then up top, we get to our receiver. This comes mounted with an XM Plus for FreeSky, so it's really nice. You can just bind it up. I'm not sure if they offer other receivers for different radio protocols. However, the antennas are just kind of strapped up here. It's going to give you great reception, but the first crash, this thing's going to get destroyed, so it's not really good. Up here, we do have a genuine Foxeer micro arrow, so that's really nice that they used a good CCD camera. And it does have these sort of metal protection plates, so it can't get broken up there, which is really nice. However, if we bend it back, you can see they actually took the plug off of it and directly soldered the wires to it and then put some goop on there. So you can't access the OSD settings. They just got rid of those wires. It's able to fit in there. I don't know why they would do that. Why can't they just make this piece just a little bit longer and save all that work? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then up top, we do have our little transmitter antenna for the VTX. So we're just mounting out the top. Really not a fan of this position. The carbon does support the antenna here. However, your antenna is going to take the brunt of the force. And I'm not 100% sure how well this is going to work. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a Foxeer Lollipop on, because it's an antenna that I know is proven to work, and I don't want to have to deal with any video issues. I'm sure this antenna works alright. I'd just rather swap this out, as well as this thing's pretty darn heavy just feeling it. Out the back, We do have a little LED display and a push button here to change your VTX channel, and the main leads are wired up to an XT30 connector. I'm going to change this to an XT60 since that's what my batteries use. I feel like XT30 on a powerful 4-inch is just a little bit too not enough. As well as the battery leads are just direct soldered here with zero stress relief, so that's really, there's a lot of good design choices I think so far in this, but there's a lot of bad ones as well. And then your battery just goes under here with this little plate. So let me get everything set up and ready to fly. I'm just going to leave everything completely stock in terms of Betaflight. I'm just going to bind my receiver, take it out, and see how it flies. Alright, so here we are outside with the ViFly X150. I bound it up. I did do a little bit of setup in Betaflight because some of the things were not as I would want them to be, so I'll go over that at the end of the video to what I changed. But I just have the little 850 4S on here. Let's get it plugged in. And there is a kind of cool little readout on the back that tells you your battery voltage, 16.4, and then your channel, so I'm on CD2. And you can change your power level through that little button as well. Alright, so here we go. Just bring it out here. Now I don't have a ton of 4-inch experience. I do have 1 or 2 4-inch quads before, so I can compare this to, but I'm pretty used to 5-inch quads. And I did put my freestyle rates on here, so I'm not really used to flying with those rates. And I am in acro. It does come set up in self-stabilized angle mode. Flying interesting. It's not, it doesn't have the best bottom end to it, probably because it's a little bit heavy for a 4-inch. A little bit hard to see with the blue props. Apologize for it on video. Do an overall punch of it right here. Not bad in the mid-range. A little oscillation coming down there. I left the PIDs alone. Full speed. Pretty fast full speed. Very loud full speed on these props. It's probably about 90 miles an hour maybe. Maybe 80 miles an hour, a little bit slower. Definitely ESC is holding up well. Full throttle there. Not bad, not great, definitely not as good as my custom built 4-inch that had bigger motors and was a little lighter, but for something pre-built, it's honestly not that bad. Alright, that's just about all this battery is going to take. You can see what voltage it is on the bottom there. It says it's at 14.7 and coming back up, so it was definitely sagging pretty hard there. So that was some line of sight. So now let's go and do some FPV with it. Okay, here we have the ViFly X150 for some FPV. You can see hopefully right away that the micro Foxier aero camera looks really nice. It's pretty much one of my favorite go-to CMOS or CCD cameras, my bad. Just flying around. I probably had about 30 or probably 40 degrees camera tilt on here. And I'm running a 4S1000 now. A little bit windy out. You can see we do have the Betaflight OSD there, and then it is nice that they did hook up RSSI. You can see in the bottom left corner there, stock on the XM Plus, so that's really nice that they thought to do that. And then I just added the average cell voltage up in the top and the timer on the bottom right. Yeah, for right now it's flying around pretty decently. Definitely can tell the weight and sort of low KV of it compared to my 4-inch quad. But it's certainly not bad. It's pretty respectable. Oop. Little prop durability test. Clip the ghost branch. The tune, just checking out the prop wash, the tune isn't that great. Hopefully you can see that there. They do have it, I think, on stock Betaflight PIDs and stock filtering with the biquad filter. I left that alone, so it definitely could be improved there. But once again, it is a little bit heavy, so that's part of the reason why you can see it shutters into its own prop wash. But definitely a pretty capable little quad for a beginner. I wouldn't say anybody, if you're an intermediate, like an advanced intermediate pilot, and you wanted to get this to race, I wouldn't really recommend that. Definitely needs some PID tuning. Performs pretty well. A 4-inch is going to be better for beginner because it's going to be really hard to break the frame. It's a lot lighter. However, the electronics on this, they're kind of questionable, as I mentioned in the beginning.
20 seconds.
But in terms of overall flying, not bad. And I've been flying for 2.5 minutes here.
10, 9, 8,
using a 1000 4S.
6, 5,
flying
4,
pretty hard.
3, 2, 1.
Bringing it down
0.
3.4 volts. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Let's bring it in around the snowmen. These little guys are hilarious. All but melting now. And there we go. Alright, so here we are back inside with the ViFly X150. So let's just go through and sum up my thoughts on this guy overall. So I was mainly running it on the Pyroflip or the Pyrodrone 1000 milliamp hour 4S 95C packs. They work pretty well, 1000 milliamps for a 4-inch quad. However, since this one was a little bit less power than I was used to with the a little bit higher weight than my build as well as the lower kV motors, running something like an 850 4S is probably going to be better for most people because you're not going to be pulling quite as much current, and this will get it a little bit lighter to make it more nimble. Now, as mentioned before, I did switch to the Foxeer Lollipop antenna, but that's just because it was convenient and on hand, and I don't know about the performance of this antenna, and I didn't want to have breakup in the DVR, but I'm sure this guy will perform just fine for a beginner, as well as this antenna was quite a bit lighter. Just real quick, touching on the receiver placement, as I stated, it's really bad to have it like this. I didn't even crash this. I think it was when I clipped a branch, it completely ripped the one UFL antenna of the receiver out and broke the zip tie off. So this mounting is pretty poor, as I mentioned. I didn't have any problems with the internal stack breaking or anything, but once again, I didn't have any crashes with this guy, just a couple of tree clips. But I definitely am worried for using the stack for structural integrity, as well as having this Form 1 ESC overhang, as well as having the fully custom parts that you can't buy. The electronics in this guy, I'm pretty sure they don't offer these as spares, at least not as of now. So if you do break something, you're going to be out the entire quad. But other than that, it performed pretty well, especially for a ready-to-fly quad. Let me just run down the settings that I changed on Betaflight. I knew I said I was going to leave this stock, however, there was a couple things that I thought definitely did need to be changed to help this guy perform a little bit better. Okay, so here's just going to be a real quick rundown of the Betaflight settings for the ViFly X150. The ports tab I left completely stock. For the configuration, I believe I changed it to D-Shot 600. I lowered the idle percent to 3.5, changed it to 8K 8K, and turned off the accelerometer. And then I turned on air mode and anti-gravity. These were not enabled stock. And other than that, the rest is stock. Everything in power and battery was the same. In failsafe, I just set up a stage 2 with a 4.4 and 2 drop there. For the PID tuning, everything on here is stock except my rates. Those are the rates I put onto it. I believe these PIDs are stock 3.2.4. I don't think they were tuned for it, and because if they were tuned for it, whoever tuned it's not that good at tuning, but they will work just fine for a beginner. But if you want to play around with them, I do have PID tuning tutorials on my channel. I raised the anti-gravity gain to 6, left the threshold alone, and put the TPA to 20. And for the filter settings, it is on biquad. However, you could change it to PT1 there, and then turn off the notch filters and put on the dynamic filter if you wish. In the receiver, I just changed the min stick threshold to 1005. This will depend on what values your radio can hit, but this works just fine for me on my Tyrannus. And then 2000 as the max there, and I added a little bit of RC deadband. In the modes, this comes pre-set up to arm with right yaw on your throttle stick to arm, which is a really bad idea. So you definitely want to set up a switch to arm on aux1 or whatever you have. And then the beeper you can set up on a different thing or any other modes that you want. That's pretty much all the setup that I did, and it is really nice to see that it did come with Betaflight 3.2.4 already flashed onto it, and it is the Omnibus F4 hex target if you want to upgrade it. So those are just some things I changed, but otherwise it's pretty much stock. You don't really need to change to an XT60. My battery's XT60, so I did that. And I also took off this little battery pad. It just gets in the way for me. So yeah, it's going to bring us to the end of the review for the ViFly X150. Not bad, not great, not terrible. I'd say the performance of it is pretty middle of the road. For $190 bind and fly, I'd definitely say it is a pretty decent value. There definitely is a lot cheaper stuff on the market. This is by no means a super cheap quad. However, it does have some genuine motors, a genuine camera, genuine receiver, etc., and genuine props. Obviously, it does have the custom electronics in the middle, but the voltage display on the back is quite nice, as well as easily changing with the VTX button on the side. Overall, it's a pretty nice performing quad that would be pretty decent for a beginner to an intermediate flyer. If you're interested, there will be a link down below in the description. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.